Hello, community. I am Catherine Jura, a community health educator and your host for this podcast. I created Hello Community because of the current epidemic of social isolation and loneliness that is being reported across the United States and the world. 1 out of every 2 Americans says they are lonely. And prolonged loneliness can lead to physical and emotional illness, can make chronic illnesses worse, and can lead to early death. The hopeful news is that social connection and community are the healing effects for this epidemic. Through this podcast, I will be interviewing a broad spectrum of individuals who have built for themselves social connection and community, often after a major life event, such as a move, a job change, loss of a spouse, death of a pet, retirement, divorce, illness. So my hope is at the end of each podcast that you will have a few ideas of how to develop social connections and community for yourself. So today I am honored to have an old friend of mine, not old in ages, old in years of knowing each other, Jim Macris from East Greenbush. Thank you so much, Jim, for being here.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So we have known each other a while. This is not the first time I've interviewed you on the subject of community. Jim is a master at building community. So I'd like to start with something that struck me recently. There was a Facebook post of Jim standing out front of where we tape here, Hope Lutheran Church of Troy, New York, standing in front of a table with some food on it. And in front of Jim was a sign that said, urgent need. And Jim was standing there with his summer hat on and his rainbow shirt and the biggest smile. What was so powerful was the quote that his daughter wrote. And she said, "So proud of you, Dad, 80 plus years and still focused on helping your community." So Jim, what are your thoughts on that post and how it ties to building community for you?
Oh, well, Catherine, first let me say thank you for inviting me to be on this ministry.
Yes.
I think that for me, and I'll speak just for myself, this is my job. This is the message. This is what I've been taught. I will say, born a Christian, Lutheran by choice, and a lover of people, because that's what I'm called to do. My life has been filled with many opportunities to use the gifts that I've been given with, and opportunities to reach out to people and try to not so much. I'm not so much a fixer as I am a listener, and in the life that we've had particularly the last 3 to 4 years, there hasn't been the contact for the listening part of our life. The COVID period, where my wife and I spent 2 years in our house. It was unbelievable. But at the same time, when I looked out my front bay window of my living room, there wasn't anything there. There weren't any people. There weren't any kids playing in the street. This was a terrible time for people who are gregarious and want to embrace and do and have cookouts and parties and things like that. No, like that, the switch was thrown. And I think that was a period of time for great reflection for many people, and for many people a very difficult time to survive. My choice was to read more about God's message, to read more about the mission that Jesus Christ has called us to do. And I realize this is a religious, quote-unquote, podcast, and I realize that I might come off sounding like I'm recruiting for God, but the bottom line is I'm recruiting for God because that's what I've been called to do. Over my lifetime, I've had so many opportunities to be in the thick of situations where cooler minds might not prevail. And in situations such as that, I try to call upon our Lord to give me strength and to help me focus. My evening prayers, my bedtime prayers. Yes, I'm 84 years old and I still have bedtime prayers, even though I don't get down on my knees anymore. Oh, but there are specific people who are on my prayer list every day, and two of them I've been praying for since they were born, as a program from here, and they're now. One is in 6th grade and the other is in 5th grade, I think. And my prayer for them is the same. And it's every night I say, let us take joy in, I'm not going to use the names of these two children, brothers and sister. Please show them the path to follow you. Please show them to love each other. And please show them how to love the people they come in contact with. That's my whole prayer for them. And that's my prayer for you or anybody else. It's so, in this particular time in our life where hate and hostility seems to be getting a stronger grip, I think it's so important to embrace and love and understand the message that God sent his only Son, and Jesus preached to us and told us, made suggestions on how we might live. And some of us take the suggestions and some adjust them. But it is a way of life. And most recently, due to family circumstances, I haven't been able to attend church here for about 4 months. And I kept losing myself in, I didn't see so-and-so, and I didn't, what's going on over there? I don't know. And I watched the broadcast, but it's not the same. It's not the same at all. If 3 Sundays in a row that chair where so-and-so always sits on Sunday is empty, well, where is so-and-so and what's going on? I need to know about that. So that's such an important part of how we deal with this gift we've been given of life on this planet at this particular time.
So, is that your definition of community?
Yep, absolutely.
What you've just said?
Yes, absolutely.
So, it's different than a lot of people's definition. It was way broader for me. Like some people will say I'm part of my bowling team and I'm part of my art class and I'm part of, so I make up, community these days seems to be, that word seems to be plural. Where versus like in decades ago, church would be the community, period. And everything came out of that. Now church is part of community, and so is bowling, and so is art class, and we put a life together. We build a life of community with all these little communities inside them. So when I listened to what you just had to say, it wasn't that definition of community. So could you, in your words, say what community means for you? Not repeating your story, but maybe perhaps for our listeners and for myself, the life that you're living that is your community, how would you define that? 20 words.
You don't have easy questions, do you? How would I define my life as community, right?
Yeah. Based on what you just said.
Yeah, I think it's being able to reach out and love people regardless of the circumstances. We had a pastor here years and years and years ago. Great line that he used. And he used to say, now, when I meet you, we'll shake hands. We'll shake hands. Now, if I put my hand out and you don't take my hand, well, that's your loss, not my loss. I want to be your friend. And if you can't accept that, well, then that's okay. That's your position. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop loving you. That doesn't mean I'm not going to stop doing everything I can to be your friend. And he taught us that. He taught us how to go about doing that. I've been coming here for 40 plus years, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of hostility. I've seen a lot of love. I've seen a lot of care, concern, all in the name of Hope Lutheran Church, or whatever name we were at the time. But the message is the same. We reach out to each other. We care for each other. And that's a core belief for me.
So is that your definition of community? For you, community is reaching out to others.
Absolutely.
In any place, way. And coming back to the Facebook page, a post, reaching out through volunteering?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You want to say a little more about that?
Well,
because you do a lot of volunteering.
well, it fills my life. It fills. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. For years and years and years, when I would go shopping, I would see short people attempt to reach stuff on top shelf. Mm-hmm. Now, you can't tell by the way I'm sitting here, but I'm 6'2", and back then I was 6'4", and I very often would say, "Well, let me get that for you," and I'd reach up and I would hand it to them, and they would say thank you, and I said, "No, don't forget that when you get home, tell somebody that guy from St. Timothy's or Hope Lutheran Church, or that guy who believes in Jesus Christ just helped you. Just take that message home with you." And people, I never had anybody say, "Oh, geez, you know," they hear that, they understand. I'm continually amazed when I use phrases that would be classified biblical, that people listen and smile. They don't walk away. And it's not fair because it's feeding me. I get 10 times the benefit. So now I'm disabled, I'm challenged. Mm-hmm. So I'm the guy in the shopping cart with the little electric motor buzzing around, and I can't reach much above the second shelf. I want to tell you, Catherine, I never go shopping that at least 5 people will say, "Can I help you get something? Can I get that down for you? Can I do this for you?" And I think to myself, geez, where are all the terrible people that we keep hearing about on the news? Because they're not here. These are great people. And yesterday, there's a good example. Yesterday, I had to drop off a care package to my granddaughter at UPS. And I stepped out of the car, and yesterday was so beautiful. Mm-hmm. I stepped out, picked up the package, and I just stood at the back of my car for a moment, taking it all in. And as that happened, a woman came out of the UPS store. And she saw me. I mean, we're from here to there away. And I was just taking it all in. And she said, she hollered over to me, she said, do you need help with the door? And I said, no, I'm just taking in the beauty, but thank you for asking. Why? I don't know why.
Why she asked?
Yeah, I don't know. Before I came here, I had to stop at the Rensselaer County Senior Center's Skodak division to pick up some meals to drop off.
To someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a woman there. I'm not going to use her name.
Yep.
But every time I go, she finds out I'm there and she comes out. She gives me a big hug and says, it's so good to see you. I'm so happy. And I'm saying, why? What am I doing? I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. There's the key. For me, it's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not obligated to do it. I'm supposed to be doing. This is the message that I've gotten in my lifetime, from being Greek Orthodox to being Presbyterian to being Lutheran to being Christian all the way around. That's the message. And that's how I try to lead my life. And I try. I do not succeed, but I continue to try. There is no reason to not try just because it didn't work.
Yes.
What's the old saying? When you fall flat on your face, at least you're moving forward 6 feet. In my case, I'm moving forward 6 feet.
Yes. Would you go as far to say then your built community is everywhere for you? Is that what you're saying?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Interesting.
Everybody and anybody anywhere.
Can be part of your community.
Absolutely. Is part of my community.
Is part of your community.
No, they are part of my community. They might not know it, but I know it.
But you know it.
Yeah.
And you might not even know them.
Oh,
because
yes.
you met them in the supermarket.
Absolutely.
Well, that.
And some of the people, I drive from East Greenbush over to the Stratton VA Center for services. And sadly, the road that I take when I get into the city and go through, usually there are one or more homeless persons. Mm-hmm. Curb, sidewalk, somewhere around there. And I drive by and I see them and I say, oh, geez. Gotta. So, we started a program here to collect food. And we collect bags, and I grab Maureen, set up the program, and we come here on a Saturday and we fill these bags with necessaries, toothbrushes, soap, washcloths, stuff like that, and put them in the car. Anytime I see a homeless person, stop, jump out of the car. Well, in my case, step out carefully, get a bag out of the back, and take it to the person. And I say to them, this is a gift from God for you. Mm. And whether they're stone drunk, stoned out of their mind, they smile and say thank you. Mm. And I say to myself, how many people have walked by this man today and gone, gee, get out here. God, why don't the police come and take him away? How many people have done that? How many times? Because I don't want to sound preachy, but unfortunately it sounds preachy. But it's true. It's true. They're not. I figured out a long time ago that when you're lining up for your life, nobody gets in the line to be homeless. Nobody gets in the line to be a drug addict. Nobody gets in the line to be whatever. That's that line over there. This is my line. And I don't have to go over there because my line is here. But we've been told our line is over there. It is not here. And we belong over there. And those are the people we need. That's my community. Every one of them. Every one of them. and they respond and react. Unless my memory is totally shot, I cannot remember a time when I reached my hand out to help somebody that they did not take my hand.
Well, and in every one of these interactions, aren't you creating social connection?
Oh, absolutely.
Every single one of them. The supermarket, the pulling the car over, being out in front for the food pantry drive that the Facebook post was based on.
Yep.
This is really a beautiful interview, Jim, in that your definition is different than like when I read research. We think of community as places mostly, or things we do together with other people. What I think I'm hearing you saying is that you are connecting with every single person, no matter where you are, and for you, all of those connections equal your community.
Absolutely. This life was a gift. I didn't ask for this life. Somebody else did. This is a gift. That's the way I respond to the gift. I have a bumper sticker that says resist hate. I don't understand. Now, I'll clarify for my family, particularly my immediate family. I am not the angel I may sound like. There are people who really, really upset me, and I get very angry.
That's fair.
And I know some expletive delete. There are times when that happens. Upon reflection, I say, now why did I react that way? What is driving behind? What's the force driving behind that? What can I do to make it different the next time? And I reflect on that, and I try. But boy, I can't. When I'm sitting in my living room and my neighbor across the street appears, and I jokingly say this to my wife, and again, no names, but I'll say, "Oh, look, the garage door is going up. That means there's a life coming out," and then disappears up the road. And 4 or 5 hours later, watch a TV show, and oh, garage door starts up. Coming home, rolling in. No contact. No contact at all.
But what about that was moving for you, or did something for you?
Because 3 or 4 years ago, there would have been other people in the driveway. There would have been people walking up and down the street. There would have been kids outside playing. That's not now. It's doom. What was the word? What's the word when we're all
social
cloistered?
isolation?
No. When we're all, during the pandemic, we were all
isolated?
No.
Quarantined.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's like we're all in quarantine.
Still.
And hell, I go out, I get in the car, I start, look, there's somebody outside. I stop, roll my window down. What's going on? And talking. And there are some members of my family who say that I do that too much. But I'm feeding myself. I really, really am. I'm really taking. I'm not giving.
When you're connecting.
Yeah.
When you're creating that social connection.
Yes.
And for you, that community, you're feeding yourself. Well.
Absolutely.
We're hardwired to belong.
Yeah. Well.
To connect.
The thing that shouldn't amaze me anymore, but it always does, is when someone helps me in the grocery store, or I stumble or whatever. If I open the door just this much, that other person will join me in a conversation. Sometimes it's 5 or 10 minutes of chatting in aisle 23, Used to be that I would do the weekly shopping and it would take me up to 3 hours.
Because you were chatting with everyone in the supermarket.
Absolutely. And then the girl in the deli who slices the meat. Now, how challenging is that job?
Yep.
You know, but you talk to them. How you doing? What do you are you at Columbia? Are you just simple conversations, and they light up.
Yes.
And I light up.
Yeah.
And that's what we're supposed to do. I just it's hard. These are difficult conversations for me to have because I'm emotionally charged right now, and I think back to when I was making choices of careers and how I through the gift of God giving me the ability to talk, I had a very successful business career. But without my church career, the business career was useless. Would have been no value to me at all. And without my church life, I could not have had the success of my business community.
Interesting.
And I never. I was in an organization, a business organization called Albany Executive Association, AXA, and only once in all the time that I was there, from a member to the president, past president, did I ever talk about my religion. And that was in a private conversation with a gentleman who was offering me a job. And I was so pleased, and I liked the guy so much, but it just wasn't there for me to change jobs or anything like that. And he said, I never met anybody before who talks like you talk about things, about life and so forth. And I said, Mark, that's only because you weren't listening. You need to listen. I get accused, hard to believe, Catherine, but I get accused by some of my family members that I'm so busy thinking about what I'm going to say next that I don't hear what they're saying to me. My answer to that is, I spent 40 years in sales, one-on-one sales. I've got to know what to say next while that person is saying what they're saying, so I can prepare my proper response to move the whole project forward. So it's different.
It's been hard to break, sounds like. That pattern, the work pattern.
Not only is it hard to break, it's not possible. It's not possible.
Because you did it for so long.
Oh, yeah.
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 So it sounds like there's less challenge out there in the big world to listen and connect, to listen, than in the family.
Yeah.
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 So that's just the way that is.
Yeah.
But your self-awareness is tremendous.
But after I retired for 3 years, 2 or 3 years after I retired, I took another job. I was a courier. I delivered paperwork from Corinth to Hudson, Berkshire County, and Canada area. In less than a year, I knew everybody. And they knew me. And I knew when so-and-so had been out of work because they had some sort of medical need. I knew the woman who was getting divorced. I knew the guy who was trying awfully hard not to drink. And I would come home and I would talk about that. And I would say, I don't understand. I must have a sign on me somewhere that says, tell Jim about it. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And the interesting thing for me, Catherine, is in that community that's out there, all of you guys out, everybody, anywhere, I believe 99% of them are ready to hold their hand out. I think they really, really want to have something happen. I really, really believe that. And if you believe it, it will happen. No question in my mind about that.
If you believe it in yourself, and you're vulnerable enough to say, if I put my hand out
Yeah,
there, that
yeah.
person might take it.
So what's going to happen if
they
happens
don't?
if the other person doesn't put, okay, well, there's another one. Here's another one. Here's another one.
Yeah.
I can't get to all of them.
Well, in closing, I usually ask my guests, is there, some thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with? Well, I think you just did, in that, everyone really, in your heart, everyone really does want to connect.
Oh, yes.
Does want to socially connect.
Yeah.
And everybody's definition of community might be different, but for you, it's everybody.
Yep.
And so, what would you say in your own words to our guests as your closing words?
I don't know why this popped into my head,
Okay.
but it did while you were talking. I taught Sunday school here at Hope 25 years. One of my most favorite students, and yes, teachers have favorite students, one of my most favorite students was going through a terrible, terrible time. And that's all I'll say about it. But it was terrible. And every Sunday after Sunday school, back then, we didn't have this big a facility. I would go into the kitchen where the coffee break was, and I would sit on one of those low tables that we had for Sunday school students, and this person would come and sit down next to me and tell me what the previous week had been like. Okay? 6 years old. I still communicate with her. Married, 2 kids, in middle school. I love her as much today as I did back then, and she loves me the same way. Do we see each other every once in a while? No. Does she live right here where yeah, we're in the same general area. I ran into her at the Hannaford once, shocked. But that is worth my life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, this was very emotional on this side of the table also. So, listeners, take a breath. We have more episodes scheduled, and you can find your way to those by using the same link or QR code that you used today to get here. If you're looking for some online support, check out Project Unlonely. Dr. Jerry Nobel was a primary care physician, and he saw the impact of social isolation and loneliness on his patients' health, and the impact of social connection and community on his patients' health. And he's created this extraordinary website. So Google Project Unlonely, and you will find lots of information. They do a lot of really cool, short videos on ways that we can connect with each other that we might not think about. It is a jewel. Do check it out. And if you feel that this podcast was helpful, please do share it with others so that together we can support each other to lives of social connection and community. Till next time. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare professional or mental health provider for any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or mental health concern.